Doll fans. Today we're going to be discussing and probably leading up to the season. It'll just be going over the realistic expectations of what you can expect for certain players and position groups on this team. And today, obviously, I think one of the most popular ones that we could talk about is Ollie Gordon and what really we should expect from Ollie Gordon this year. So obviously, if you didn't hear that, Jalen Bright had surgery, so he's probably going to be out at minimum like 4, maybe 5 weeks. So it's going to be just pretty much Devon Achane and Ollie Gordon pretty much taking over the backfield at this point. You have Jeff Wilson, and I think I forgot the name of the other guy they got, but they definitely signed another guy. But yeah, it's going to be Ollie Gordon having a predominant role this year. And before we get into it, I want to make a comparison of what I kind of see with Ollie Gordon versus, the rest of the group. I see a Jay Ajayi reminiscent when I look at Ollie Gordon. The way that he runs, his pad level, him lowering his shoulder. I see someone like that. I see a Jay Ajayi. I think he's bigger than Jay Ajayi was, but I see that type of running style where he's not going to beat you by speed. He's not going to do that, but he's going to pretty much get you yardage every single time. And if you remember back to that year when we had Jay Ajayi, when he had that phenomenal run, we were running the ball like crazy, and he was just getting yardage left and right. Like, he would get positive yardage all the time, and that's what I think we can expect with Ollie Gordon. I think we haven't had a running back like this since Jay, and honestly, it's so refreshing to see, because what we're going to expect this season, which I hope that preseason is kind of reminiscent of what we need to do this year, is I think we're going to be running the ball a lot more than we were any other year before, and it showed in the preseason. When we were looking at the preseason game, the first couple of drives, they were trying to pass the ball all around the yard. It was like Tua trying to throw the ball every single down, and then they stopped. And then guess what? They ran the ball with Ollie Gordon. And then that is when our offensive line started gelling, and that's when things started really happening for this offense. So one thing we're going to talk about is that Devon Achane, a lot of people want to consider him the number one runner, and I totally get it, but we've had him for 3 years now? Yeah, rookie? It's going to be his third year. Every single year that he's been on this team, eventually around like week 10, he gets injured. And there's a reason for that, because Devon Achane was never meant to run the way that we're running him, and that's kind of something that I think Mike McDaniel is trying to keep in his head, is that Devon Achane is not meant to be running in between the tackles, through the gaps, and pretty much taking on a brunt of tackles that were really meant for people that were like 200, 210 pounds, because Devon Achane is pretty much like 180, I'm pretty sure. He's not meant to do that. That's not his game, and you want to maximize his game as much as possible. But the reality of the situation is that his game is not for that, and you still want to do that. You still want to run in between the tackles. So that's why I think Ollie Gordon is the perfect fit. And, the realistic expectations for Ollie Gordon, it's going to vary. Like, I don't know fully, but I think he's going to have a very good year. In my opinion, I think he's going to have a very good, surprisingly good year. And the reason behind that is because you don't want to take away those in between the gap runs, because that's how you get the easiest forward yardage. When you're running like sweeps and tosses and all that stuff, you're pretty much running behind the line of scrimmage, trying to get back to the line of scrimmage, and that's what Devon Achane does. He does it very well. But most of the time when you're running the ball, you want to run it forward. You have Alec Ingold. You have an excellent fullback. People pretty much forget that Alec Ingold is not like he can catch the ball, but he's a great fullback. He's a guy that can really just punch you into the ground. So you want to run those ISOs. You want to run those power runs. You want to run those types of things. And it's not that you can't do it with Devon Achane. It's just that you've seen what you're going to end up doing is you're going to injure him. He's going to get injured because he's not meant to take that type of brunt. So Devon Achane is much more going to be a Tyreek Hill role, where he's going to catch a lot of passes. I think Devon Achane is going to have probably 40 catches this year. But when it it comes to Ollie Gordon, the thing is that with his body type, and as you saw in the preseason, is that he can run forward and get you yardage. One of the things that we saw with the University of Miami game was they controlled the line of scrimmage because they kept running the ball forward, and the running backs that they had were kind of eerily, they're not as big, but they were very similar to Ollie Gordon, big bruising running backs, and they would just run them forward, get 2 yards. And I don't think people understand what a difference it makes if Ollie Gordon gets you in 2nd and 8, or 2nd and 7, or 2nd and 2, or 2nd and 5, or whatever it is, every single down. It makes a huge difference. This is why Saquon is such an elite runner, not just because he breaks the runs, but because he ends up getting you in a more manageable position versus most of the time when Tua's playing, Devon Achane, he does some stuff, but for the most part, starting at like 2nd and 12 and 2nd and 10 and 2nd and 11, 2nd and 9, you're not moving forward. And that's what Ollie Gordon brings. And I think more and more throughout the season, we're going to see that. We're going to use him properly. And more, he's going to be able to take over games where you have this dude that's 6'2", 230 pounds. You're going to start being able to run play action, like in a much better thing. And what I can see with that is obviously having Alec Ingold back there because he can pass catch, and Ollie Gordon can pass catch because those are two of their traits. They can both catch the ball. Tua's best ability and what he ran with Alabama and a lot of the teams that he's been on with the Dolphins, his best trait is play action. That's what he does best. He's very good at faking the defense out and being able to throw a long, deep pass. With Ollie Gordon, you're going to be able to do that because defenses are going to try and push up much more than they did last year because we really couldn't run the ball last year. And what I'm going to see with this is you're going to have different sets. And I think obviously most of the sets that Ollie Gordon has is going to be with Alec Ingold, maybe sometimes without. But I think we're also going to run a spread offense with 2 running back sets, and it's going to be Devon Achane and Ollie Gordon on both sides of Tua. And that's what I'm so excited about. I'm extremely excited to see that type of positional group doing it like that, where we're going to have probably most likely a spread offense with a 2 running back set, and they're both going to be on opposite sides of Tua. So you have no idea what you need to do. You don't know if they're running the ball with Ollie, with Devon Achane, or if they're both going out for passes. You don't know. And I think that's going to be so utilized this season. And, again, I think you do enough of those. You do enough of those positive runs with Ollie Gordon, and you do enough of them that you can start setting up play action where it makes it easier on Tua. It makes it easier on the offensive line because you can now run these trick plays that Mike McDaniel likes to do because Ollie Gordon is that type of running back. He's the guy that can do stuff like that for you. He can get you these short yardage runs, goal line. You don't have to rely on the pass game so much. You can just run Ollie up the gut. Aaron Brewer can push forward, and Ollie can just push into the end zone. There's so many things that he brings to this team that running backs, as rookies, are pretty much I think they have the most possibility of having a breakout potential because once you understand the play, if you're a good running back and you can be patient and see the hole, you're good. That's why you see so many rookie running backs coming in and just making a huge splash because when you can do that first off the bat, you're already able to succeed in the NFL. And then it's just about learning the playbook and understanding the plays better and understanding, your assignments and all that stuff. And on top of that, one of the biggest things that I think people are not really taking in for how good Ollie Gordon is his pass blocking. If you watch the entire preseason, there were so many plays where Ollie got in front of a defensive end or a linebacker and halted them, just completely stopped them. I remember a specific play in preseason where Tua had a guy that was literally line driving it to him, and Ollie comes from the right and smacks him right in front of Tua, and Tua even looked at him and was like, yep, that's it right there. He has probably the best pass blocking ability out of anybody on this team. So with Jalen Wright being out, even though I don't think Jalen Wright was going to do anything, Ollie Gordon has supreme breakout potential. He can really become an all-star for the Miami Dolphins. And I think, with his ability and who he's about, people forget that he was, again, just like Quinn Ewers, you have a guy that the year before, and just like Carson Beck, you have a guy the year before that was supposed to be like a first-round pick. And we forget that it's not just the person, it's the 11 players on the team as well. If they all suck, then everybody's going to suck. So Ollie Gordon is a running back. He's very dependent on everybody else. If they suck, he's going to suck. But when he got into the field in the Miami Dolphins, he kind of shows this Doak Walker, award-winning running back, and we forget the type of potential that he has. He's not really a seventh-round pick, if you really consider all things. He's not really a seventh-round pick. He's really a first-rounder that kind of fell to the seventh round. And now you might have a steal on your hands where this dude, for the next 8-9 years, could probably be the workhorse of this Dolphins offense. And on top of that, he eases a lot more of the things that Devon Achane has to do, where he can much more be his type of role, where you can run two running backs and have pretty much just such a trickery, mastery that you have, where you don't know where the ball's going at all times. And I think this is what we needed for a Mike McDaniel offense. I think this is the next tier. You have Darren Waller, you have the tight end that's going to get incorporated. You need that big power runner that was going to be able to get you short yardage, keep your chains moving, and then allow your fast, tiny guys to be able to get open and move all around the field. And I think that's what Ollie Gordon brings. Not just breakout potential for his running ability, but I think he's going to unlock a lot of things of this offense that, again, I think people are sleeping on the Dolphins, on what we can actually be this year and who we can actually beat. I think this was one of the biggest missing pieces that we had, because we just didn't have a runner like this until now. And we'll see. But my expectations for Ollie Gordon is I think he's going to change this offense, and I think he's going to make it much easier on everyone else. You don't need to have the 40-yard big play every single second, and you don't need to run trick plays all the time. You just need to get back, and that's what you can do with him. Get back to old school football, running up the gut, pushing the line, getting short yardage, making it easier on your offensive linemen, and then being able to run play action and allowing to his life to be easier. I think there's so many things that he's going to bring to this team, and I'm very excited to see it this season. But comment down below. And guys, like I said, the film study is probably going to be on the membership channel, because I'm getting demonetized for posting, all of the film studies. It kind of sucks. So if you want to get the film studies, $8 a month, it's nothing. And I'm going to give you much more content, probably like some vlogs and all sorts of stuff on that channel. So if you would like to, and I appreciate every single one of you, join the membership. As always, guys, praise God, love God. Fins up, baby. Love you all. Peace.